Hello and welcome everyone to the Lean Library product update for February, the very special update where we're talking about our vision for taking users to Article PDF in just one click, which is starting with some imminent releases and then some future plan releases. We're just going to give it a minute because I can see the attendee numbers are jumping and people are joining. So we'll hold on for just a minute. And just while everyone's joining, actually, we'll do some housekeeping. So next slide, please, Nicole. Hasn't gone to the next slide for me, Nicole. Oh, it has now, there you go. So while we're waiting for people to join, we'll do some introductions. So I am Amy Sparrow, your host for today. I'm the Marketing Director at Technology from Sage and Lean Library. And Becca Richards, you can also see on the screen, who is our Senior Product Manager for Lean Library, and who you can't see, but who is moderating the session today and might get back to you in the chat, is Nicole Cunningham, who is the Marketing Manager for Lean Library. So welcome to everybody joining. So as you join, first of all, please check your audio and visual settings. If you can't hear, a very rudimentary hack of please leave Zoom and rejoin. And as you rejoin, you'll be prompted to select the Connect with Computer audio. We ask you to connect with each other in the chat. And if actually someone could drop some messages in the chat just to say you can hear and see us and see our slides, that would be great. But if you have questions about the session throughout, please use the Q&A box because that will be moderated. Nicole will pick them up and ask us in the Q&A at the end, or she might answer them directly in the chat as well. We ask you, thank you very much, everyone who's commenting that they can hear us. And prepare to get chatty in the Q&A session. Please just raise your hand to be unmuted and speak to us directly. If someone has asked a question in the Q&A box, we need you to elaborate, we may call on you. And the session is being recorded and it will be automatically sent to you after the webinar via Zoom, maybe a day or two after the webinar. If we run out of time for questions, we will follow up with those answers. Okay, I can see we've got a good turnout now. So next slide, please, Nicole. I think we have a slight lag, but we've got it. Okay, we're on the agenda slide now. So what we're covering today is, first of all, some scene setting about the challenges in article discovery and why we're creating this development, why it's so important. And then Becca's going to talk about the vision. So our Lean Library's vision for taking users to Article PDF in one click and what's coming in phases. So direct linking within the library discovery layer, direct linking within the extension, and then what the initial content coverage is and the future coverage. And then there'll be plenty of time for Q&A. So next slide, please, Nicole. And one more. So for the challenges in article discovery, what am I talking about here? Well, two things. So first of all, let's take a step back. And what challenges and problems does this product development look to address? I think you'll all be very well versed in knowing that it's a huge time suck for researchers when trying to find the article PDF that they're trying to read. So when it's for more advanced researchers who need to find and access a great number of articles, say for a literature review, it will be a real massive time suck. Hours get wasted. And for students, undergrad students or earlier career researchers, it's simply a deterrent in what's an already overwhelming step up to higher education. And I was speaking to a faculty member the other day who said one of their students had admitted to writing their essays based purely on abstracts of articles because they hadn't been able to read the full thing. So what we're talking about here is it's a many-click nightmare for researchers. Getting to article PDF when searching takes an average of 12 clicks. And those images there show examples of bouncing from Google Scholar to the first publisher website to the second, to university credentials and so on and so forth, to actually getting that PDF and saving it to their desktop. So Lean Library currently, we focus on streamlining that university authentication and access to the publisher sites, which is saving up to 3 minutes per search. But there's still that step further that students have to do to get to the actual PDF. Next slide, please. Sorry, I think we have a little lag here, but has it gone on, Nicole?
It has, sorry.
That's all right. Maybe let me see if I can share on my end. Has it gone on? Oh no, it has. It's just taking its time. No worries at all. And then on the flip, there's also a pressure for libraries. So there's this massive pressure to decrease the content cost per download or CPU for libraries. We all know that globally, there's a real budget constraint for libraries at the moment. We've got some screenshots of UK universities now paying an estimated 192 million, so nearly 200 million a year for journal and database access. And we know one of the main or primary ways libraries can justify that spend is on the cost per download. Oh, we've gone a bit too far, Nicole. Come back. Thank you. And how libraries need to do this is getting tougher. Over 70% of searches today start outside the library on sites like Google. And even searches that start on the library discover layer can be cut short, so can be given up on. And Lean Library currently streamlines access to the published site and library holdings, driving an estimated average usage of up to 40%. But we're looking to see how we can take that further. So I'm going to pass over to Becca on this. And if the slides are still lagging, I might be able to take control here. Let me see. Can people see the
that's quicker?
That happened quite quickly, so
I'm going to take control here.
We might
Sorry
be onto a winner.
Everyone. Sorry about that. Okay, Becca, over to you.
Lovely, thanks, Amy. Hi everyone. It's so great to be with you all here today and to see some familiar names in the chat, some new names. So welcome everyone. I'm really, really excited to be giving you all a bit of a pre-launch sneak peek into one of our big new staggered releases for this year, which is what we call our one-click to PDF functionality. So as Amy mentioned on today's agenda, for me, I'm going to be talking you through the vision for this new feature. As I say, we'll sort of be building out on the initial release of this in the coming months or throughout the year. And we really see this new feature as a sort of as the next cornerstone for our core full text article redirection functionality, and something that we're going to build a real sort of pillar or deep vertical around. I'm also going to be talking to you about what we currently are working on as we speak for launch towards the end of this quarter, if not maybe slightly toward into the end of the next quarter, and then also following that up with what's coming in the first half of this year and beyond. So if we could go on to the next slide, I'll get into some of the details. So what do I mean when I talk about one click to PDF? What is this new feature? One click to PDF is a continuation, if you like, of our mission to build bridges to library and open access content to amplify the reach and the voice of your library. So by giving users a seamless and quick route to the content formats that they want to and most often use, we will be saving users money, time, and a headache, all while boosting engagement to your own resources. So if we go on to the next slide, please. So I want to talk about sort of like the broader vision and where we see this sort of development growing, how we want to build on this. Over the course of the year in particular, this is kind of like where we see the one-click functionality sort of growing into the wider Lean Library ecosystem, if you like. So I actually wanted to start by mentioning another sort of symbiotic launch, which is the launch of our brand new Lean Library Workspace module, which will also be coming towards the end of the quarter. You may have seen the pre-announcement for Lean Library Workspace, but we'll be giving a full pre-launch webinar in our next product update webinar in March. And I think either Amy or Nicole is going to send a link in the chat. So if you haven't signed up, please do. Because what Lean Library Workspace and the one-click to PDF functionality both bring is a fully built out, interconnected ecosystem to the Lean Library platform suite. So this means that you can meet your users where they work, where they've built behaviors, whether that's in the open web through our browser extension, when writing essays in our Google Docs plugin and Word plugin, or when browsing your discovery layer in our library discovery service widget, which is our sort of one-click PDF functionality, and we'll also be bringing that into our browser extension as well. And I'm going to be talking about that in much more detail in a bit. But what I did also want to just mention, for those of you who don't know, who haven't seen the announcement, Lean Library Workspace is our sort of migration of our reference management product, Cywheel, fully into the Lean Library environment. So this brings a website, which we see as our end user hub, which is where users can collaborate and manage their resources, the Google and Word plugins, which I mentioned, where they can create bibliographies and smart citations exactly in the environments where they're writing. And of course, our one-click to PDF functionality as well. So one of the big challenges that many of you have mentioned to me, to my colleagues in our operations department, our sales department, whoever it might be, is that Lean Library comes with the somewhat sort of like the task of having to try and prompt your users to download a browser extension. So what our one-click to PDF functionality will bring you at first launch towards the end of the first quarter of this year, so in the next month or so, is access to Lean Library features outside of your browser extension. So this means that you know, anything from instant content access, whether that's, you know, initially within your library discovery layer or beyond, maybe in your reading list management system, we'll be able to bring that sort of access management solution that Lean Library is sort of like known and loved for. And then on the other side of the coin, as I mentioned with Workspace, we're also bringing reference management tools, citation tools, authoring tools, again, outside of that browser extension environment, through our plugins and the Workspace website. And all of this, we hope, will save you time when trying to do constant sort of promotion cycles of Lean Library to, you know, your new users. Obviously, you've got users whom sort of recycle every 3-4 years, whatever it might be. So we want our product suite to do the work for you. And we really see the vision of the library sort of discovery service widgets doing that promotion for you as well. So, you know, prompting the user, like, do you like this service? If so, find more, like even more features within the Lean Library extension. And then finally, sort of for the vision, for us, we see this as even deeper content linking. So content linking beyond just the sort of the standard link resolver or, you know, per institution sort of data management that we currently implement and leverage in our browser extension. So as part of this development, we're building a content linking microservice that is going to integrate with a number of sort of varied sources, whether that's global repositories or your sort of per institution holdings. All of that is going to be sort of built into this, what we see as this rich service that we're going to be building out through the rest of this year and beyond as a sort of top priority for us. And this is going to power our one-click to PDF functionality while also bolstering our pre-existing extension functionalities, such as our alternatives, redirection, sort of service, which is a real cornerstone of our core product offering. So if I could go on to the next slide, please, Amy. And we need to go back one.
Jumped one too far.
Yeah.
Sorry, there we go.
Lovely, no worries. I want to talk about briefly what this means for your library. Our absolute core mission is to put your library at the heart of every research journey and to amplify the voice and the reach of your library to your users. We want to put your library on the shoulders of your users wherever they may be. So through the one-click to PDF functionality, but also part of that sort of wider suite that I mentioned, we're going to be streamlining user workflows that we hope will really highlight your library as an essential part of the research process. It already is, but by allowing users to access the content they want even more sort of seamlessly, they'll sort of see that as a natural progression of their research journey. We also want to drive usage to your own library resources and reducing cost per downloads. I'm going to talk some more about that in a bit, so I won't go into that in too much detail, otherwise I'll end up repeating myself. We also want to enhance student success by helping them save time, save money, reduce that sort of cognitive load. Your return on investment, essentially, it comes from your users. Like the reason why you subscribe to Lean Library is because you want to help your users. And this is also an essential part of our mission too. And finally, we want to allow you to gain deeper and immediate insights into resource usage with actionable data. Again, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, so I don't want to repeat myself, but this is an essential part of our mission and a real benefit that we believe that Lean Library will bring to your library. So if we could go on to the next slide, Amy. Now I'm actually going to talk about the meat, which is what's coming soon, what's coming next. So if we could go on to the next slide, I'll talk about our sort of phase 1 launch, which, as I mentioned, we're envisioning is going to be coming at the end of the quarter, perhaps early second quarter. We've got a webinar coming up as well, a launch webinar. So if you want more information, definitely recommend that you sign up to that. It's going to be in collaboration with a publisher entitlement service, which many of you might have heard of, called GetFTR. Again, I'll be going into that in more detail in a second. But this phase 1 launch is essentially providing that direct PDF linking within your library's discovery service. So an environment that you have complete control over. What we want to do is bring this extensionless Lean Library functionality, which is adjacent to our pre-existing alternatives redirection feature, to your discovery layer. So we are going to be linking via a PDF widget, which you can kind of see in the image there. We'll be linking to the PDF wherever it's available, but we also have the flexibility of offering the next best available content item or content type, whether that's the redirection to the HTML or the publisher landing page. So whenever the PDF isn't available, the button will then sort of refer back next to that next best available content item. And we really see the vision for this as being very customizable. So we have a number of different levers within this functionality where we sort of provide information on the content item, the source, which, as I mentioned at launch, will be with GetFTR, like the data will all be coming from GetFTR. Whether the item is version of record, accepted manuscript, whatever it might be, you can choose what you do and don't want to show to your users. And while this might not be coming at first launch, that very much is the vision, to make it customizable. We want you to be able to completely control the experience that your users are having, based on sort of what you want to show them. And the implementation methods for this, so how you would go about setting this up, they are going to vary per provider that we're in talks with. Some of them are going to be script based. So essentially within the Lean Library dashboard, which some of you might be familiar with, our admin console, there will be a section where you can essentially just pull that script and inject it as a custom script, for example, as you would in Primo with you know, any of your custom script, like your chat widget. It's as simple as that. It should be very simple, and it will kind of differ per provider, but that's the sort of the gist of it. And as I mentioned at first launch, the data will just be coming from GetFTR, who are working in close partnership with, and this is to provide easy implementation from those publisher entitlements that your institution has access to. But as I say, that's just the first step, and I'll be talking more about that later. So if we could go on to the next slide, please, Amy.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to call out, sorry to just jump in here.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Interested if any of the attendees on the call, what discovery services you're using. If there's any that isn't sort of Primo, EDS, Summon, the main ones, please do shout in the chat. But go ahead, Becca.
Lovely, thanks, Amy. So I want to talk about phase 2, because actually this is coming hot on the heels of our sort of phase 1 launch. As I said, we see this being kind of like a key priority for us this year, with staggered launches coming in quick succession. But where we want to take this next is bringing that essential functionality into the browser extension as well, because that is sort of the cornerstone of our offering, is that browser extension. So we want to sort of bring that back for a seamless, uninterrupted sort of research rhythm, if you like. So how will this kind of manifest itself? It will do so in two formats. Number one is within the alternatives pop-up, which I'm sure many of you are very familiar with. When a user lands on like an article, for example, or an ebook, whatever it might be, but they don't have access to that sort of particular instance on that publisher site, as you can see here in this this image on the far left, we'll redirect your users to the content that they do have access to per your library's licenses or what open access content is available. And what we are going to be bringing to this pop-up is a download PDF option. So that means that if your user knows exactly the article they want to read, they might want to read it on the go, they can just click download and it's there and provided to them straight away. We are still going to be offering the standard redirection that we generally tend to offer in our alternatives functionality. And this is because we completely recognize the differing use cases and user journeys when doing content discovery. As Amy said, your users might be performing, you know, doing their literature review, and they want to find other related content. And a good way to do that is by going to the publisher site, looking at their related content algorithms and, you know, finding relevant articles that are similar to the one that they've landed on. So we still want to provide that content redirection. Also really important because generally speaking, the content that's available on publisher sites such as HTML, EPUBs tend to be more accessible. So we still want to provide that option. The other place that this is going to present itself is in multi-search results and list views. So something that I hope some of you are going to be quite excited about is the fact that we're going to be able to provide our alternatives functionality on multi-search results. And this is a piece of feedback that we get a lot. So I'm really excited to be saying that this is something that we were going to be providing by the end of the second quarter of the year. So whenever the extension recognizes a DOI on a page, whether that's on Google Scholar, PubMed, Scopus, Web of Science, you name it, we will show the PDF download option. And if a PDF isn't available, we will show the standard alternatives redirection. So that's coming in Q2. And what I'll talk about next, if we could go to the next slide, is the general content linking and overall coverage. So we are launching initially with GetFTR. As I mentioned, we're building a full microservice that will underpin this whole functionality in the form of an internal API service. And we're partnering initially with GetFTR to provide those publisher entitlement information into both our extensionless widget and then later into our alternatives link resolution. What I want to say here is that this is just the first step. We're really excited to be working with GetFTR to be able to boost, immediate content discovery and access. But we want to build this out to broaden our content coverage to include a diverse range of sources from global repositories, as I mentioned, whether that's, open access repositories or publisher sites, aggregators, or on the other side of the coin, your per institution entitlements, so your holdings information, all of that we're going to be bringing it within this one service to power this functionality that's going to power our one-click functionality, but also bolster our pre-existing alternatives functionality to really sort of strengthen our link resolution. It's worth saying that GetFTR provides a really strong coverage of all sort of research output. And, we're going to just continuously build on that throughout the year and beyond. And the key sort of thing I want to highlight here is that we're going to be doing this at pace. So this is going to be like, again, a real priority for us to bring in those new data points to the API microservice. And again, another little plug for the April 9th webinar, just to find out a bit more about our GetFTR partnership and how we're going to be using that entitlement API, the entitlement API information to power our new features and our existing features. So if we could go on to the next slide, please, Amy.
Absolutely, but I'm just conscious of time, Becca. So maybe reporting and analytics, and then we'll just jump to any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. Sorry, I always do this. I always speak. Reporting analytics, I'll run through this in just 1 minute. But I just want to say that everything that like all of the user interaction that is available from within these kind of extensionless widgets is going to be available within the library analytics dashboard, as well as the sort of the same analytics for the extension features. So they'll be separate, but they'll be available like immediately as you need them from your librarian dashboard. The stats, while they're not going to be counter compliant, they are going to be slightly counter adjacent in the sense that we're going to be providing metrics on, for example, how many downloads a piece of content has garnered, and therefore, when you're thinking about CPU and you're calculating it via, the number of unique item requests, you can kind of get the sense of how that's going to look, when you're looking at the number of downloads versus the number of redirections to the publisher site, and they're just, for those investigations, for example. And just a really quick nod to say that this is a huge theme of work that we're going to be looking at for the rest of 2025, which is improving our stats reporting, especially around specific content and publisher usage. So if we go on to the next slide, is that the last one? I actually can't remember. Yeah, so in terms of what to expect next, Phase 1 launch activities are coming in the coming months. Do sign up for the webinars that we've mentioned. Full release notes are going to be available on launch, and implementation guides will be also available at launch, and support articles through Zendesk, and we'll also be linking to those in the librarian dashboard. So let's definitely do some questions now, Amy. Sorry for overrunning.
That's all right. We haven't got too many, and I'm not actually going to ask them in the exact order because I think the relevancy moves around a bit, but we've got a question from Peter here saying, is a DOI required for this one-click functionality?
Yeah, it is. So our service is going to be recognizing specifically DOI IDs. We hope to build this out in the future for other forms of persistent IDs, such as ISBN, so we want to bring in like not just article content, ebook content as well. But for now, yes, it does require the DOI to be able to recognize the content.
Fabulous. And we had one question come through the actual Q&A box from an anonymous attendee saying, what if a library does not have a discovery layer? And I know we sort of answered this in the presentation because this came in before, that in phase 2, we will be adding this functionality into the pop-up in the extension. But anything else to expand on there, Becca?
Not really. So to be able to obviously add it to your environment, we're doing that initially via standard discovery layers. If you don't have discovery layer, future iterations, we hope will be able to bring that to your like other environments that you manage, such as your reading list management system, perhaps. And then again, as Amy said, phase 2, we're going to be bringing this to the browser extension. So literally anywhere that your users are searching within the open web, on those publisher sites, those aggregator sites, we'll be injecting those buttons. So it doesn't necessarily in future need a discovery layer.
And it means we're just capturing different users who have different preferred workflows. Some who are the
Exactly.
die-hard, go to the library site, go to the library discovery layer, versus those who are Googlers. We are over time. There was one more question from Sandra about Summon specifically. So Sandra, I'm going to follow up with you separately about how it's different from the PDF direct link button that Summon already offers. But I don't think there were other questions that came in. If there were any, please feel free to reach out to us. I think we've got our email addresses in the, thanks, Sandra. Our email addresses will come in the follow-up email, and we also have the recording come to you in a couple of days. But thanks so much for joining, everyone, and thank you, Becca. This is a really exciting development for us, and more to come. You'll get full release notes in the coming months. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone. Super excited. Thanks, Regina. Bye, everybody.